Simon, there's been so much talk about this offset of tyres. Max Verstappen on a softer compound to Lewis Hamilton. So I thought, let's go back to last week, the restart, where that was.
What's up?
Max on the medium, Lewis on the hard tyre.
It's been a while since I've done a live stream.
It's not just about the launch, it's about the confidence you get on the brakes as well. Now, the circuit's been reconfigured, and we've seen some.
It's F1. It's the championship race, and they're tied.
Look at this helicopter shot.
I mean, you gotta stream that. You can't not stream this.
We're gonna see at turn 9, the new bank corner as well. We saw some fantastic wheel-to-wheel action between Liam Lawson, Jack Doohan, and Roy Nissany. I'll forward it along.
I'm eating my breakfast right now. Yeah, I usually don't do these at 8 in the morning, but
turn 9,
here I am.
Blind because of the banking. We saw it at Zandvoort. We saw it in Saudi Arabia. People able to go inside, outside, do a switchback, and again, hopefully, this will set up what we're going to see.
So who's even on the pole?
The track temperature down to 30 degrees. It's getting exciting here.
Never mind the track temperature, Karun. Never mind the track
temperature. Yeah, Max Verstappen starting first. Lewis is starting second. That shit's gonna be just fucking awesome. Yo, what the fuck you doing, mate, at 8? Lucci, I'm fucking watching F1. And the reason I have to do it at 8 a.m. is because fucking time zones. That's why.
He's led the championship at one point before the race at Silverstone by 33 points. 33,
shit's getting
33,
exciting.
33, there's a number. 33 points, and yet he comes here, and he's equal on points with Hamilton. Let's have a look at Hamilton. How does he look after the sprint race? It was 33 points. Hamilton is in the car already. He's in the car. He's settled. He's got the Rainbow Pride helmet on there. He's all ready to go. Simon, touch tension. Okay, guys.
Are they gonna fucking go? This is a good-ass fucking bagel sandwich.
Well, I don't know why, but I stick with Lewis. I think that medium tire is going to somehow give him a chance through the first pit stop or something to take the lead and carry it home. But, of course, it's completely impossible to predict.
Max
I'm in a good fucking mood.
That's as far as I'm going.
That's as far as we're going. This is it.
You don't know what F1 is?
Wonderful season. There they are.
Formula One?
Protagonists are at the wheel and in their cars. We've got 10 minutes to go until lights out here in Abu Dhabi.
10 minutes till start time.
In the desert.
Lucci, are you doing something good with your life? Or are you doing stuff like me? Are you just kind of sitting there?
You can have a beautiful, clean-burning fire in just a few seconds with no kindling, newspapers.
Lucci, you're probably going to work today.
Just place the stone in the oil.
Because you're a good boy.
Ash and light. It's that simple. The American Fire Lighter is clean-burning, smokeless, odorless, and is perfect for fire pits, wood-burning stoves, ceramic grills, and it makes a wonderful gift.
We're working at 8 in the morning. Wait, I work at 8 in the morning sometimes.
Order today at AmericanFirelighter.com.
Every year, thousands of Central New Yorkers support Upstate Medical University through the Upstate Foundation. This generosity enhances patient care, funds biomedical research, educates our next generation of healthcare providers, and improves CNY's public.
Whoever finishes better in this race, Lewis or Max, they win the championship. And this shit gets big.
The Upstate Foundation, where your gift.
Unless they both like finish lower than 10th, in which case Max wins it.
Exclusively by Mother's Polish.
A privilege for us all to witness two athletes in their racing prime, pushing each other ever higher and cementing their place in Formula One folklore. Brace yourselves for what we hope will be a fitting climax to an epic year.
You want cocaine? Let me tell you something, Lucci. Cocaine ain't something to fuck around with.
Of Formula One. It has no genre.
Fog machine.
It's a thriller. A horror. At the turn of every page, there are surprises. And the latest chapter has eclipsed all imagination. Two protagonists, the warrior and
This man's serious.
One vying to take the crown.
To become a world champion.
The other.
I want cocaine.
I've been training my whole life.
Ah, fuck
In
cocaine.
support, too confident. Defending. Hailing.
That was epic.
Cajoling.
Keep turning that screw.
We never give up.
You know it's all about cocaine. About cocaine. No heroin. I don't know.
In this fight, no quarter has been given. No challenge unmatched. Pressure has grown.
Christian is a bit of a windbag who wants to be on camera.
Tension has risen.
I was told so. I keep my mouth shut.
The bitterness of defeat. The sweet taste of victory.
Yes! Come on, guys!
The column's on fire today.
Like chapters of old, the plot twist will continue.
It's false wide by Verstappen.
Right down to the last paragraph.
Oh, they touched.
The last
Damn, that smoke
sentence.
rising.
That's more like it. Come on.
The last.
It's an amazing job, guys.
Who knows how this story will end?
Get in there, Lewis. Ah, yes.
Great job with the strategy.
Come on, guys. Let's get this over with.
That was masterclass when you're leading the World Championship.
Just turn in on me.
Lewis, we never give up. We never give up. This is still on.
Well done, mate. That was epic.
That's when you get when you're going to leave this place. That's the 100.
Class, Max. That was classy.
Tried everything I could, but we were just not quick enough.
I've just hit it, man. My wings broken.
It's not over yet. So as the sands of time run down to the end of this magnificent Formula One season, we come to chapter 22 and the chance for Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton to be the writer of their own story. Each has one hand on the championship trophy. Both have the opportunity to realise their dreams. We know this is the final chapter, the end of an epic battle that has captured everyone's
I've been pumped for this race all
emotions.
week.
What we don't know is how this blockbuster ends. It's winner takes all.
Bellucci wants
Welcome from the
cocaine.
Yas Marina circuit.
I want-
Level, 50
I don't care who wins this
before the
championship,
checkered
honestly.
flag waves goodbye to this brilliant season. And it's a season finale on a modified circuit. This is the
I low-key kinda want Lewis to win.
chicane before it is long gone. We've got banking now at turn 9, where once upon a time we had opportunities to overtake into a chicane. And we've got a much faster
Are you gonna
end to
stream
this
the real
circuit as
thing?
well.
No, I'm
A
not,
maximum speed of
Lando.
200 miles an hour.
I can't do that.
120 miles an hour.
I can't.
Turns 12, 13 and 14 where we've already seen cars.
I can't do that, Lando.
Bang against them in the case of Kimi
Because
Räikkönen on
they'll
Friday
fucking
practice.
copyright
Pirelli
me.
have brought with them for this final
They'll, like,
round
actually
the
take down my
softest
fucking
tyres
stream.
in their range.
And then
It is the
probably ban
C5,
my
the
channel.
C4 and the C3. The hard tyre thought to be a very good race tyre. Neither Red Bull pair of Max Verstappen or Sergio Perez has run it so
The
far
session
this
hasn't
weekend.
started yet.
Lewis starts
Fuck
on
you.
the medium tyre, Max starts on the softs. Here's the grid then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Max Verstappen on pole for a second year in a row here. Lewis Hamilton alongside him in 11th front row start in Abu Dhabi. Lando Norris, his best qualifying since pole in Russia, starts third ahead of Sergio Perez, equaling his best qualifying here in fourth. Carlos Sainz will start fifth, his best ever start here. Valtteri Bottas down in sixth on his final start for Mercedes. It's Charles Leclerc
Lando.
starting seventh for Ferrari.
Lando Norris is in the stream.
Esteban Ocon in ninth, alongside
Which is weird because he's supposed to be in the race.
11th
goes to Fernando Alonso, missed out on Q3 by 12 thousandths of a second. He keeps Pierre Gasly company. Lance Stroll in his 100th start for Aston Martin is 13th on the grid, ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi, who waves goodbye to Formula One. Sebastian Vettel starts 15th ahead of Nicholas Latifi and 16th. Latifi out-qualifying his Williams teammate George Russell on his final appearance for Williams before he goes to Mercedes. Kimi Raikkonen in his final start in Formula One is 18th.
Mick Schumacher.
All on his own in 19th. Nikita Mazepin not racing after testing.
Mick Schumacher caused some shit last week.
To him, he watches on. The world watches on, Martin Brundle. I don't know how nervous you are, but I'm as excited as I am tense.
I'm very excited. Nervous I'm not. Something is going to happen in the next 58 laps. We're just not quite sure what. Will it be Lewis Hamilton's record-breaking 8th, or Sergio Perez sitting there? He's watching out forward to his teammate Max Verstappen, desperately looking for his first world title. And for me,
he wants to see Lewis get his 8th title today.
It's an amazing world championship. Will fully deserve it, and I can't wait. And that's why we love live sport, Crofty.
It certainly is. 369.5 points. You go back 151 points to the next contender, and that's Valtteri Bottas. These two have taken their talent to a new level. And here are the starts.
All right, here we go.
From, the back upwards. Soft tyres for Mick Schumacher, medium for Raikkonen, all the way to Stroll. Gasly and Alonso starting on the hards. It's soft then for Ricciardo and Ocon.
Here we go.
Bottas on the medium, Leclerc on the soft, Sainz, Perez, Norris on the soft, but crucially, Hamilton on the medium, Verstappen on the soft as we get underway for the formation lap.
Oh, they're just doing the formation. I keep forgetting about that. I keep forgetting that they do that. I don't watch F1 that much.
Those tyres right now because, of course, they weren't in play of setting pole position. They were to get you through to the top 10 shootout. Then you're locked into them for the race. You saw Max snatch that front left tyre, go for a second lap, and basically he couldn't use that set anymore. Forced to qualify into the top 10 shootout on the soft compound tyres, and they are exactly the 4 tyres on his car now. It should get him into the first corner first, but then, and it may even let him pull clear a little bit in the beginning, but Lewis's tyres are much more for the long run. But, you know, a safety car or anything like that could turn the entire thing on its head, and that, of course, would play into to Red Bull's hands at that point. So we saw some games being played, didn't we, by Lewis Hamilton and gang. They didn't want to get too early to the grid. They hung Max out front a little bit, didn't they? One of the 3 restarts. But I think with Max's soft tyres, Lewis will be keen to get as much temperature into his more durable but harder compound tyres as he can. So I don't think we'll see too much of that going on.
Is the formation lap really necessary?
Like a little bit as well, but we saw them pull the cars back so they can spin their wheels away a little bit. They're not allowed to go above 50 miles an hour. They pass pole position, actually. You're not allowed to go faster than the pit lane limiter, but you can spin the wheels a little bit and try and lay a bit of extra rubber down on your grid slot, get a feel for the clutch point, and we know that Max will then park right at the front of his pit box.
So there is the Drivers' Championship to be settled today. The Constructors' Championship also to be settled today. Mercedes, for a record-breaking 8th consecutive year as Constructors' Champions, needs 17 points no matter what Red Bull score. Max Verstappen needs to beat Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton needs to beat Max Verstappen. Unless Lewis Hamilton finishes 9th and Max 10th with the fastest lap, the championship would still go to that man's son. Racing dad, Jos Verstappen. 15 drivers from Holland have entered the Formula One World Championship. We've never had a Dutch world champion. For the last 13 years, the champion has either been British or it has been German. Kimi Raikkonen, the last
all right, let's go.
German to win.
Let's do this shit. No more fucking around.
Focused on the grid. The talking eventually has to stop. The wheels start to rotate, and then it is game on.
Yeah, they do some burnouts to the grid to get some rare tyre temperature. And obviously they've been working the brakes and moving the car around, anything to generate their heating engineers, basically. There's certain bits need to stay cool and other bits need to be warming up and in the right temperature range. 19 cars on the grid then. Nikita Mazepin tested positive for COVID-19. So that is why at the back there, Kimi Raikkonen in his final and 349th Grand Prix.
We've been waiting for this all season long. The finale, the
Here we
title
go.
decider, under the lights here in Abu Dhabi. It's lights out, away we go, and Hamilton
Green
gets a
flag.
decent start, and he's already ahead of Max Verstappen. There's
Hamilton already takes the lead. Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh, Lando's out.
There comes Carlos Sainz, but it's Hamilton out in front, the medium tyres.
Man.
Working well for him is his teammate Valtteri Bottas challenges the Ferrari. Into the hairpin we go now. Hamilton leads Bottas, leads Perez, then leads Norris, then the two Ferraris of Sainz and Leclerc. It's a dream start for Lewis Hamilton.
Yes, the only good news there for Red Bull is at least Perez is up there, but for the second consecutive weekend, the Red Bull did not get off the line very well.
Oh, here comes Max. Here comes Max. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. And that's it for Lewis.
Lewis Hamilton in the lead, but will he have to give out the place?
Yes, of course he will, but the problem he's got is Perez is right on Verstappen's tail.
Yes, he gets that back. Verstappen wants that place back, and he wants that place back right now.
What Max should do is back up a little bit and make sure Perez is right on his gearbox for when Lewis inevitably has to give that place back. Verstappen had to do that lunge.
So behind then, the lunge was on with Norris and Sainz and Leclerc. Sainz in fourth, Norris fifth, Leclerc in sixth, out in front, Hamilton.
These
still
boys.
has the lead.
These
From
boys, man.
From Sergio Perez, and at the end of lap one, Hamilton's advantage over Verstappen is 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, copy. We're happy with the gap that you've reinstated.
Oh, well, so the Mercedes then tactic here is, okay, you haven't gained a lasting advantage. So the stewards will be looking at that.
I guess it doesn't tell you what lap we're on this thing.
You've re-established the gap.
All it shows is a leaderboard.
Before you went off. Well, they were side
We're
by
on
side
lap
when they
2.
went off.
We did wonder whether the stewards would need to get involved this weekend. By courtesy of that moment, down at turn 7, surely they need to get involved to make a decision one way or another. But it's Hamilton out in front. Will he have to give the place back, or will he keep the lead?
If he doesn't have to give the place back, that's bullshit, because Max had to give the place back last week.
Red Bull second and third. Valtteri Bottas has now dropped down to 8th place.
He was having an early battle, wasn't he, with Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda's got ahead of him. Bottas not in play to help his teammate, who's going to have to try and win this the hard way. Now, this the run down. Verstappen a long way back, lunges into the apex. They do touch, and Hamilton has to take to the escape road. Did Verstappen lunge correctly and fairly, or the stewards rule in Verstappen's favour there, or was that an opportunist move that was never, ever going to be on? Will they decide that way?
It was late, but the door was open and Max stayed on the racetrack.
No investigation necessary.
No, here's the thing. All Max Verstappen has to do is wreck Lewis Hamilton. And then he wins the championship no matter what. Because even if Max wrecks in that wreck, he would win on a tiebreaker because he has most wins. So literally all he has to do is just wreck Lewis Hamilton. But he's not going to do that because that's stupid.
And so we're back as we were then, 1.4 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Red Bull, I think, will be on the blower to race control to question that one. But that's, with all of the information they've got available to them, what they see, the different camera angles, other... There we go.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
So, we've seen it again. Max is ahead of the apex.
Jonathan.
Stays on the track.
Jonathan, he's forced him out there. That's why we asked him to give back
Lewis
all of
has
the
left
advantage.
the track, and you told him to give back all the advantage.
All the advantage was already given back prior to the first lap ending.
I think we agree, but understood.
No problems.
So in the eyes of the stewards then, Lewis Hamilton slowed down enough to...
What? That's so fucking stupid, dude.
...that he gained when he went off the track, and that was fair. As race director Michael Massey, that was fair in their opinion. 1.5 seconds now the gap.
That is a bullshit call.
All these things as I see them, it doesn't seem to matter whatever you say. One of the teams is unhappy with you. But
And like I said, I don't care who wins. I am leaning a little more towards Lewis. But, like, that's kind of stupid.
No investigation on the shortcuts or the advantage that he's gained in terms of gaps. So let's just get on with this and win on track.
That is incredible. What are they doing here?
because they were side by side when the incident happened, and even into the braking zone. So I don't think the gap was ever given back, but that's what the stewards have decided.
they're the referees, and I think that's wise advice there to young Max Verstappen in terms of, don't get angry, get even. Get on, just focus on the race ahead now.
Well, we wondered, didn't we? Was it going to be turn one where Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton potentially came together? We lasted 6 corners until they came together. Our first controversial moment.
What's up? What's up, Jaden? Surprised you're up this early. Well, I set my alarm for 7. But, I actually woke up at like 5. I wasn't happy about that.
Yeah, critically, the stewards feel that because Max...
But we got F1. It's the finale. They're both tied in points. Whoever finishes better, Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, wins the title. Unless they both finish below 10th, in which case Max would win
Lando Norris goes wide, comes back in, doesn't gain any advantage. And you can see Bottas falling behind the Ferrari as well.
Got squeezed a bit, didn't they?
Really, really low revs there for Lewis in the Mercedes. And
Jaden, are you watching the F1 race? It's on ESPN2.
better on the reaction time.
Get there.
Finds enough grip. And look at that lovely space.
Dude, Abu Dhabi is fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I'm going to call it the same way. I think Max has got in there. He's got into the apex. He stayed within the white lines of the racetrack. And look at the gap Lewis has pulled out front there. So I'll stand by that, but that's not what the stewards think.
This is the view from Lewis Hamilton's cockpit as he sees Max.
Dude, he totally... That's such a bullshit call. That is such a bullshit fucking call. You're currently laying in bed. Yeah, no, if you want to watch F1, you got to be getting up early.
What they've decided here, and once again, it was a fair move from Verstappen. Hamilton gave enough time back, so it was a honours even at the end of this skirmish.
But the door was open, and he drove through it. And he stayed on the racetrack. It wasn't, and he was leery in Saudi Arabia last weekend when he arrived sideways and out of control. And Lewis made an attempt, and that's why Max had to give the place back. And Lewis came back on the track within the corner and made a reasonable effort, having been pushed out of the way, to get on the track.
Ted Kravitz, very good evening to you.
Hello, Crofty. I didn't think it was going to get this controversial this early. Hello, Martin. Hello, everyone.
Oh, Jaden, I meant to send you this video of Mike Joy calling a baseball game. Yeah, he was once in the booth for Twins and Rays game. Not kidding.
Maybe we'll hear from him in a second of what he had to say, but this is a result of Brazil with the FIA not clamping down on these things. When you start to leave interpretation into it rather than a hard and fast rule, you get situations, confusing situations that would have been clear-cut in the past decisions.
On board with Charles Leclerc is currently running 6th, but while we watch from the cockpit of the Ferrari, let's head down to the Red Bull pit wall. Christian Horner is with us. Christian, please, your reaction to the no action by the stewards.
We're on lap 6 right now. I wish they showed the lap.
His advantage back, which we failed to see yet. So, as you can imagine, we're not best pleased.
Is this what goes around comes around, Christian, with turn 4 Brazil and into some first corners in earlier races?
No, it's a total lack of consistency. So, we're disappointed with it, but focus on the race now, and we've got to do it the hard way.
Christian, there will be a lot of people watching Formula One for the first time ever.
Man.
And when they're presented with a no action for one incident, no action for another, they'll find it hard to believe that's a total lack of consistency.
Well, the race director made it very clear before the race that you had to stay within the white lines. Max did that. Lewis gained an advantage by going off track. He didn't concede it. He didn't give anything back, so that was our position. But anyway, we're focused on the race and still a long way to go.
Christian, thanks ever so much for joining us. We appreciate your instant reaction there. That's what we
Ronaldo, are you watching the race? Guys, the race on ESPN2.
14th for Vettel, 15th for Stroll.
The one time you wake up early is for the F1 finale. I meant to wake up at 7. I was actually kind of pissed that I woke up earlier because I had to wait longer.
You did everything right. Stayed on the track.
I woke up at 5. I wanted to wake up at 7.
Jonathan, the stewards have reviewed it and determined that all of the lasting advantage was gained, and that Max forced that position there. So they've said that they have reviewed it but are not investigating it.
Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton now
Yeah, that's such bullshit, man.
From Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, Norris, Leclerc, Sonoda, Bottas, Ocon.
I mean, it's not Lewis's fault for the... Like, you can't blame Lewis for the bad call on the stewards, but, like, that's stupid.
Nico, what's the champion's view?
Oh my goodness, so difficult. I think it's okay what they've done. Max was a little bit too lungy and too aggressive, forcing Lewis out too strongly. Even though he had the right to the corner there because he was massively ahead, you know, but still. And then I would also say, though, that Lewis didn't...
I don't get why this race is on ESPN, too.
So
it's
like,
the finale. It's tied. You think they would put it on the main ESPN channel.
Basically move out of the way, because otherwise he's going to collide with Max, who made a very uncompromising, very late lunge, which left no room for Lewis to make any accommodation. He had to leave the track. But I have to say, I am surprised they didn't say give the place back, because you know.
Yeah, what's on the main ESPN that's so important? Sports Center. They have Sports Center on ESPN, and that's why they can't show the race.
I guess, but he stayed on the track, and I'm struggling to understand the regulations right now, because obviously in Brazil there was no penalty, but they both drove off the circuit, whereas Max stayed on the track this time.
Gentlemen, thanks ever so much. I think Jos Verstappen's also struggling to come to terms with this. He just walked out the back of the Red Bull garage as Hamilton continues then on lap 8 in the lead of this race. We've had a big controversial moment, and we'll be talking about this, I'm sure, for a long time.
Yeah, there's nothing, yeah. It's literally Sports Center. They show Sports Center all the time. It's like you could just show the race. Like I said, I don't care because I get to watch the race anyway, but like I'm just thinking about the people like ESPN. I think that's a channel that like you just get with your TV. Like I don't think you have to pay for ESPN. You have to pay for ESPN too. So it's like I'm thinking about the other people who don't get to watch the race because of this. It's pretty stupid.
It's about 23 seconds to make a pit
What's
stop.
up, man? How you doing? Sir, I'm totally gonna fuck this up. Sir Yanch. What's up? What's up, Sir Yanch? I hope I got that right. There's no way I got that right.
He's going to put himself into traffic if he pits in the next 4 or 5 laps. They don't want to be doing that because it'll hold up his pace.
Rear started struggling a little bit.
That's not what they want to hear on the pit wall at Red Bull. Rear's starting to struggle. He'll lose grip. Coming out of those slower corners might lessen his pace down the straights as well.
Yeah, in other words, the surface is overheating, goes a bit like a jelly, and you start to slide around. You turn in, the back end comes around on you a bit. You touch the throttle, you can't quite get full traction until a good way out of the corner, until the downforce builds up. But they have no option but to stick with it for now. They've got to clear the pack before they can consider a pit stop. Now, otherwise, they're just being...
I got that correct. There's no way I got that correct. Sir Yanch? That's insane that I got that correct. That is like the biggest W I've ever taken.
The window they'll be looking for, 23, 24 seconds to get Verstappen in and try and come up with a new solution.
Yeah, the gap that is appearing that I'm sure they'd like to fit into is just behind Sergio Perez and just in front of Carlos Sainz, who's become
that is the biggest W I've ever taken.
Of cars. These are the rear tyres for Max Verstappen. Pirelli say they've got a performance life of about 15 laps from the start of this race on heavy fuel, full tanks of fuel. I've seen angrier looking tyres, but I've seen shinier looking tyres too.
Yeah, it's the surface temperature, isn't it? So, you know, we have to accept Max made that.
I wish F1 races were longer.
Last weekend, it cost him pole there. But such crazy races Saudi Arabia.
I think they get done with it under 2 hours usually. I wish they were like 4 hours, or maybe not 4 hours, but like 3.5.
And put the Red Bull on the back. But now they've got Perez there. It's like a game of chess, isn't it? They've got Perez there who could come into play.
Like if they doubled the laps in these races, that'd be better.
Mercedes can pit Hamilton. But of course, if Hamilton comes out with fresher tyres, Perez will be fairly easy target.
Assuming
You're excited for tonight, though? What's tonight?
Away, but what is clear, there is the length of
Sunday
that
Night
back
Football.
straight, which is well over a kilometre long, in between Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, second and fourth in this race. Running behind Sainz, his former McLaren teammate Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc.
Is Lewis Hamilton about to get championship number 8?
Having a decent race, running in 7th, Valtteri Bottas, and not for the first time this season, struggling to get past the AlphaTauri of Yuki Tsunoda, who's been rather held up back there. The wind has picked up just a little bit here as well, and a stiff breeze that you can see on the flag from the top of the viewing tower. Esteban Ocon runs in 9th, Daniel Ricciardo 10th, and Hamilton starting to stretch the pace out in front.
And of course there's a World Championship point for anybody who finishes in the top 10 with the fastest lap. That fastest lap won't get much faster yet because they're burning down their 100+ kilos of fuel and have a much lighter car when they put tyres on.
There's the starts for Max Verstappen. 1/10 of a second better reaction time for Lewis Hamilton. There he goes, off into the distance. Was it just the reaction time that cost Verstappen?
Just didn't get away, did it?
This the moment then, well, it didn't quite touch. Hamilton was trying to turn in, realised that if he turned in even more to the left, contact would be made.
Liga MX finale? What's that?
In the white lines, but
I'm not changing my mind on that. I'll stick with, look, the door's open, he's gone through it, he's kept completely within the white lines, and a car that was side by side with him is heading off down the road.
Dude, the gap was so much bigger after that. It's such bullshit.
Leaving the track and gaining a lasting advantage is what gets you into trouble with the stewards.
It's a great lap, Lewis. Just keep it up. Just keep the pressure on.
Now, Hamilton had the advantage because he was out in front. Did he give back all the advantage he gained by going off the track? That's the debate here. And if Red Bull do want to appeal this race and ask for the right for review, that's the sort of information they're going to have to find to force an appeal.
Yeah, I don't think there's any point in them even thinking about that. But this pace from Lewis is now a second a lap faster than Verstappen. He's waltzing off into the distance anyway, such that that would be probably irrelevant if it stays like this in terms of what happened on the first lap.
Mexican soccer.
These are tremendously fast laps from Lewis. Look at that, 4.6 seconds. So what that means, Crofty, is that they've got, with that kind of gap, whatever Red Bull do with Verstappen, Mercedes can wait another lap.
Yeah.
Wait another lap. They've got a, there'll be no undercut by somebody going out on fresher tyres and getting ahead of you because they'll have enough slack in the system, enough fat in the system, if you like. If he can get himself towards 10 seconds ahead, they can then just casually react to whatever Red Bull do.
The orange in the grandstand is quite silent at the moment. The Red Bull garage looking a little bit despondent.
Oh, red tyres, I'm really struggling.
And Verstappen,
Okay, understood.
having to work very hard indeed to try and keep pace with Lewis Hamilton. Scores a level going into this race. As it stands at the moment, Lewis Hamilton would be an 8th world champion in Formula One, an 8-time world champion. Verstappen's bid for a first world title crown is being thwarted, but there is a long, long way to go. We're only just starting lap 13. Long way to go under the lights here in Abu Dhabi tonight.
I watched the MLS final yesterday. It was pretty good. Dude, the MLS finals, like, they get, like, no TV viewers at all. It's like, it's really shitty. It's like the championship for MLS. Like, under 1 million people watch it.
Surprised that Max is struggling so much, so quickly with them. And, well, what a pain it's proved.
I think more people watch the WNBA finals. Which is kind of sad.
They didn't even need to be doing that lap that he was on when he locked the front left tyre into turn 1.
Yep, it's forced a change in strategy and it forced them onto the back foot a little bit. Ted, down to you.
Max Verstappen not the only one who's struggling with his soft tyres. Lando Norris has been on the radio saying, they're okay, they're all right, but he's struggling to keep pace with Carlos Sainz ahead of him. Now dropped to 3 seconds behind the Ferrari of Sainz as Lando. Fernando Alonso's been on the radio saying that something feels wrong with the front of his tyres. He's on front of his car. He's on the hard tyres. Maybe they're not up to temperature, but we'll have to follow that one to see what's going on with Fernando. He's P11 at the moment.
And I wonder if George Russell's struggling too, down in 18th at the moment.
We keep losing gears. This might continue to happen.
Well, That's not what you want to hear when you're trying to keep the Ferrari.
We saw a Portland Timbers fan stuck out the middle finger. That's pretty badass. Apparently, when I was at a Mets game a few months ago, some kid was put on the big screen and he like gave the middle finger. Pretty savage.
Goes on, and he'll come out. Hopefully for Red Bull, if they've got their strategy right, ahead of Carlos Sainz. Perez slips through into second place, but the Ferrari making its way down into turn one. He's not going to come out ahead of Carlos Sainz. Where is Max Verstappen going to come out onto this track? He goes underneath it now. He's trying to put the power on, and onto the track he goes.
So that was Max Verstappen's pit stop.
Of one Ferrari, but only just as Charles Leclerc goes off. And
damn, Charles.
Distracted by Verstappen coming onto the track. Leclerc going very, very wide, losing a place to Tsunoda, locking up going into turn 5. He didn't get past the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, did Max Verstappen, but with Charles Leclerc going wide like that, he could stay ahead of that Ferrari and easily.
So it's Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris. Who the fuck is that guy? Yuki Tsunoda. That's a pretty cool name. Charles Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas, Ocon. What's his first name? Esteban. I knew that. Daniel Ricciardo.
As Leclerc comes back underneath. Yuki Tsunoda, but the pit exit.
Seth Curry beat Steph Curry. What team does Seth Curry even play for?
And that is the problem there.
So Sergio Perez will stay out and will go on.
I feel like I should know that.
Race. Neat stop by the Mercedes crew. 2.4 seconds stationary time for Lewis Hamilton. Has to trundle down the pit lane at 80 kilometers an hour. Now he can get the power on, but not too much power because that tunnel is very, very tight indeed. He disappears out of our view temporarily and will come onto a racetrack, and the wide open spaces of this racetrack is to be ahead of Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari.
He plays for the 76ers.
He's fourth. Hamilton's made his pit stop.
I feel like I should have known that.
If you're a Sky Q or a Sky Glass customer and you're just joining us this afternoon, well, if you press your red button, you can watch the highlights alongside the live action. And this is Charles Leclerc as Max Verstappen comes out of the pits. Yeah. Was he distracted? Was it something to do with the car?
He got swapper on. What about he turned into 3 and had to counter steer into a massive slide. Remember, he's got some overheated soft compound tyres on there as well, and it was quite the save for Leclerc there. But yeah, maybe he was a bit urgent as well, trying to get past, hoping to get past the Red Bull exiting the pit lane. But I don't know, I kind of feel game back on now to me.
Well,
Hamilton's pitted. Plan A. Correction. Plan B. Plan B.
Yes, plan A might have been to come into the pits. Plan B is to stay out there.
Damn, Abu Dhabi is beautiful.
Sergio Perez
I want to go there.
Help Max Verstappen if Hamilton catches him.
I used to think Abu Dhabi was Dubai, but it's not. It's a totally different thing.
The momentum for Lewis Hamilton, and as it stands at the moment, that momentum is gaining and gaining and gaining with every lap, and there's not much that stopped him so far.
Yeah, you have to assume they'll leave Perez out in the hope of slowing Hamilton down in a few laps' time. Verstappen's catching his old teammate Carlos Sainz in a hurry now. Verstappen in the low 1:28. So
Sergio Perez has the lead right now.
As the other Ferrari,
he's gonna pit soon.
Makes its first pit stop.
As does Esteban Ocon too. Neat stop once again then for the Ferrari crew, although 3.4 seconds, lost a little bit of time there. I'm sure that the likes of Norris and
what's the lap by lap
in a while as well. Ocon is out, Leclerc is out, Leclerc 15th and Ocon is 17th. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, Charles Leclerc's stop. They lost a bit of time on the rear. I think it was the left rear. The tyre was a bit slow going on. Expecting to see whether Lando Norris reacts to the Ferrari, the one that was behind him pitting. We'll see in a second. I've had the line from Mercedes, guys. Do you want to know their view on the lap 1 shenanigans?
Well, I think everybody wants to know that, Tim.
Yeah, because, you know, we're all kind of, well, in any other race, in any other series, Lewis would have had to give the place back. They don't see it that way, understandably. They say it was a lunge from Max. He pushed Lewis off the track. I point out, well, they didn't touch, and they said they didn't touch only because Lewis avoided the collision. He tried to turn in, couldn't take his line, and couldn't get round the corner, so had to go off and go across the road.
Dubai is downtown.
Mercedes, take it as you will.
Yeah.
I used to call that motor racing.
So nothing wrong with it whatsoever.
remember for you. So, yeah, you can look at that either any which way that suits you really. But Verstappen, oh, look at that. Max then in the penultimate corner in the dirty air of the Ferrari, pushing hard. He said to me, actually, on Saturday night that in race conditions, that penultimate turn 15 is a bit of a handful. It certainly was then. It was a handful of opposite long.
It certainly was, and it's cost him maybe the chance to get past Carlos Sainz here. But he's got DRS. He's got an extra 9 miles an hour, so pace advantage, but he's too far back.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's wrecked his chance of passing him down the first straight. He's got another chance now, but it looks a bit lumpy coming out of the 6-7 chicane there. And that's cost Sainz, Verstappen a lap of passing the Ferrari.
Unless he can get past into turn 9, and he had to think about it, didn't he? He thought the door might be open, but once again, just a bit too far behind. And yes, it has now cost him an extra lap, stuck behind his former teammate at Toro Rosso, Carlos Sainz. Meanwhile, at Sky Race Control, working out plans A, B, and possibly down to Z to Karun Shahan.
Yes, good evening, Crofty Martin. I think plan B could be Checo holding up Lewis Hamilton. You know, the gap initially was 11 seconds. It's now down to 6.5. Obviously, Lewis much quicker on new hard tyres. But I think that's why they've switched, just to try and, you know, put a bit of pressure on Mercedes. What else can they do?
Well, they could also try a very aggressive two-stop strategy with Max Verstappen. Martin Brundle, would that be worth a try? They've got nothing to lose, surely.
Well, that's the phrase, isn't it? Nothing to lose. But I think that's a little bit later on. We've still got 40 laps to go. But let's see if Perez can hold Lewis Hamilton up, and for how long. I don't think it'll be long, personally.
Well, Perez, Hamilton chasing Perez, striking distance, powered by AWS, our battle forecast in 2 laps. Striking distance in 20 metres, Max Verstappen on Carlos Sainz. And into the chicane goes Max Verstappen on the fresher tyres. It's taken him a lap longer than he would have wanted, but Verstappen back up into the top 3, and now round about 8 seconds or so behind Lewis Hamilton, around about 12 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, as Sainz might try to force his way. No, he can't round the outside. He had DRS down that straight, but he's not going to get past Verstappen there. So Perez leads, and it stands at the moment 4.3 seconds from Lewis Hamilton, and then comes Max Verstappen after this move. Nicely executed, but to be fair, Sainz wasn't really fighting him into turn 6.
No, Carlos knows that's not his fight for this evening. He's up against Lando Norris in the McLaren and his teammate Charles Leclerc as well. And a very strong end to the season, isn't he? This would be his 14th consecutive points finish, wouldn't it? Or maybe 15th in for Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz has been putting together the longest active scoring streak on the grid, 14 races, as you said, Martin, despite failing to reach Q3 in 6 of those races. He's got 19 points finishes in total, tied with Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton as the most points finishes in this season. Meanwhile, Norris's McLaren teammate Daniel Ricciardo pits. Norris running down in 13th, but as we heard a little while ago, losing some gears from time to time. He's still running out on the track, but his pace not exactly brilliant at the moment.
Yeah, he's got 8 of them, 8 gears, but obviously what they mean is obviously he's pulling for some ships and they're not working sometimes. And then as Daniel Ricciardo exits that rather tortuous pit lane, although we've never had an incident in there, have we? I mean, coming here since 2009, everybody was fearful of that pit lane. I think it's such a peril, such a challenge through there.
Okay, we'll be looking to hold up Lewis. I think we're best to do that within 2 seconds.
So the regulations say a Formula 1 car must not be any wider than 2 metres.
How wide do you think Sergio Perez can make that Red Bull at the moment then? Probably needs to quadruple the width, or mentally at least. How can he hold up Lewis Hamilton in this part of the track? Probably a little easier than down the back straights, and certainly towards the end of the lap he could just slow down the momentum somewhat, but this is really playing the team game for Sergio Perez, who gave his teammate a brilliant tow to try and help him to pole in yesterday's qualifying. Sainz is now pitting, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, but Lewis, with a good exit here, should be able to get past Perez.
Yeah, he'll have DRS. Perez will have saved his battery for attack down here, but he can weave around a bit. But in the end, the track is too wide. Lewis will be nervous of the back of the Red Bull, and Perez will have a lunge up the inside, inevitably. Lewis cuts back underneath him, and that's exactly what we expected to happen. He will now drive past him, give him a cheery little wave, and that was about all Perez could do, or was it? Perez with DRS is coming back into turn 9.
Can Perez make it into turn 9? He's saved up a bit of energy from that battery store, and with a bit of DRS possibly as well, has blasted past Lewis Hamilton, so he is going to hold him up just that little extra bit. This is a very, very good tussle here. Perez as absolutely on the limit and as fair as he can be.
And parked on the apex of the slow corners, so plenty of battery and DRS. And wow, he breezed back past, didn't he?
Didn't he just? Although the Red Bull, certainly with Max Verstappen, has had more pace than the Mercedes down.
Well, here comes Sergio Perez is holding up Hamilton.
The curbs, as they
not making it easy.
Final 2 turns. Hamilton's going to try and get Perez into turn 1 and have to go the long way around the outside to do it, and can't quite do it. Perez playing the ultimate team game here for Max Verstappen, and this is really frustrating Lewis Hamilton.
This is pretty fun.
Hurting his tyres a little bit as well. And whilst Verstappen has just put in a 1:28.3 for the final lap, Perez and Hamilton in the 1:34s and the 1:33s. The gap now coming down between Verstappen and Hamilton. You can see him right in
Here
the
comes
background.
Verstappen. Here comes Max. But Hamilton got by him.
He moves towards the inside. He's going to pass Perez a long way round if Perez is going to try and retake.
That's a good teammate right there.
But on lap 21, Hamilton does get past Perez, but Perez has played the ultimate team game, and he's really brought his teammate back into play.
And he can give his teammate a bit of DRS for good measure. So
what's up, Winval?
That's the team play we talked about earlier on.
I was hoping he'd join.
Out of the way.
And I know you can watch this because Abu Dhabi, it's literally in Abu Dhabi, so Abu Dhabi Sports will probably have it.
Over 6 seconds, now 1.3 seconds, and all of a sudden, the Dutch grandstand's woken up, and I'm sure a lot of other people have too.
Yeah, I said this feels game on.
Oh, Checo is a legend. Absolute animal.
This time last year, Checo Perez was retiring from the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He didn't quite know where he was going in Formula One. He got signed up by Red Bull, and he has really helped.
Forgot that I was streaming.
Max Verstappen, but Verstappen now has got to try and keep the pace with Hamilton as Perez does come into the pits. And as it stands on this lap, Hamilton seems to be pulling away a little bit from Max Verstappen. In the practice sessions, don't forget, Mercedes ran on the hard compound tyre with full fuel. Red Bull were trying the soft compound tyre, and they haven't used these hard tyres throughout the weekend so far. This is when Hamilton got past Perez, but it didn't end there, did it?
I half expected Perez to come slithering up the inside there again, but Lewis very carefully pinned him to the outside of the track.
I think Lewis was looking to cut off any threat down the inside. This has been quite the duel, and an unexpected duel between the Red Bull and the Mercedes, but not Verstappen in the Red Bull on that occasion.
Once again, what we're looking at, so Max is a 10th.
We have an action channel called MENA Broadcast Channel Action, which shows the. Okay, that's good.
We've seen such raw speed, haven't we, of this Mercedes-Benz in the hand of Hamilton, particularly for the last 3 Grand Prix. And
the first lap of this race is actually really pretty exciting. I disagree with the call by the stewards because
what else could happen?
Lewis Hamilton cut a corner and got a big advantage because of that, and they didn't give him a penalty. So I think it's some bullshit.
One hand and a little bit on that championship trophy. Max Verstappen is going to try and keep pace with him, but he's struggling to do that.
Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy. I don't know who that is.
He hasn't pitted yet. Neither has Valtteri Bottas. Sergio Perez has, currently in 5th place, and we can head down to 10.
Really, the only 2 college football players that I really know is Tommy DeVito and Garrett Schrader.
It was all right. Maybe a sort of summing up the latter stages of a career if you were cynical about it. But yeah, it was not bad. Right, let's move to Lando Norris. And even though stopping early, he hasn't.
Monaco lost to Algeria in the Arab Cup.
Has extended his lead over Lando Norris, and now Lando Norris has got Sebastian Vettel, who hasn't pitted yet.
Oh, Morocco lost.
So
that sucks.
What is going to end up to be a fight for P5, P6.
Goodbye, Kimi Raikkonen, Ferrari's last world champion. He retires from Formula One this evening. Farewell, possibly forever, but hopefully not, to Antonio Giovinazzi, his teammate at Alfa Romeo. And happy birthday, Tonio, for Tuesday as well. Valtteri Bottas says farewell to Mercedes as he moves to Alfa Romeo. George Russell says goodbye to Williams and hello to Mercedes for next season. We say goodbye to the 13-inch tyre in Formula One tonight. It's 18 inches for next season.
I like how F1 doesn't have commercial breaks.
Martin, it's a goodbye.
Like, why can't NASCAR do that?
2022, first appeared back in 1993, did the barge board, and it's also farewell to Paul James, Team Operations Director, the man who sits on the pit wall at McLaren.
So we're going through the year. We're looking what we can do to help Max.
Paul, after...
So, to the plan A for now. To the plan A for now. For sure.
And Paul, after 26 seasons with McLaren, is opting to stay back at base. And we won't see him on the pit wall for next season.
Little frozen tear on my cheek for we're losing Kimi Raikkonen.
Yeah.
The man who doesn't have adrenaline in his bloodstream, he has antifreeze.
Kimi Raikkonen, the most Grand Prix starts by any driver. The man who, before this race, had raced 57,454 miles in Formula One. I think he's
Qatar is a pretty good soccer team.
He'll be racing in something. That's very much.
Maybe they'll win.
What did he say to me in the interview on Saturday? I hate it. I hate everything. He's so over. He loves driving a Formula One car. He's so over anything else to do with being a Formula One driver.
Not pocket deal ever. Again, as he said with a smile on his face. Sebastian Vettel has come into the pits. That's why you see him dropping down into 16th place. So those that haven't pitted so far, Valtteri Bottas doing a sterling job on those medium compound tyres. Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly, who are on the hard tyres to start off with. And also Nicholas Latifi and George Russell also still going quite long with their first stint.
As we said in Brazil, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Red Bull and Verstappen don't have an answer to Hamilton and Mercedes' raw speed.
And the engine that's powering Lewis Hamilton.
Did you see the
debut, of course, in Brazil?
Goal you sent?
Penalty on the grid for the Grand Prix. Took an even bigger penalty for the sprint
Oh, is it
race.
this one?
Started that last. And then started 10th for the Grand Prix.
I did
went
not.
on to win it. Brazil was the start of quite a treble of races for Lewis Hamilton, where he's won the last
No way.
and for the 8th time in his career, on course at the moment to win 4 in a row. What have Red Bull and Max Verstappen got up their sleeves? What can they do strategically?
I did. I checked the link.
Equation again.
Look at these two, yet again.
That's a pretty sick goal.
Seconds clear of
Like a half-court shot.
Such is the form that they're both on. And what a privilege it's been to watch these two this year.
Yeah, we see drivers coming and going in Formula One. We can remember Lewis Hamilton's debut in Melbourne all those years ago in 2007, where he went round the outside of his experienced teammate and world champion Fernando Alonso. At the first corner, he has gone on to absolutely dominate in Formula One, and for the last 1,506 days, Lewis Hamilton has been world champion. But it was pretty clear from the outset that Verstappen would soon be challenging him. Didn't take long, Martin, for you to say that Verstappen will be a world champion one day. It might still be his day here in Abu Dhabi this evening, but he's going to have to produce a pretty epic Champions drive from here.
I did say that back in 2016. I didn't think it would take until at least 2022 before it happened.
So this was on lap 20. Lewis Hamilton trying to get past Sergio Perez, and if he was wary of any contact with the Red Bull, he certainly didn't show it. He left enough space.
People had hands on face. The coffee was full and everyone was yelling at the TV. Oh, you were at the coffee shop?
And I agree with Michael Massey, the race director there.
I fully expect
No free seating.
Sergio to lunge back up the inside down into turn 6, but
meanwhile, as we watch what happened on lap 20 between Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton and how they came very, very close together, I think Kimi Raikkonen's Formula One career has come to an end, and he's stopped out on track. He's had a bit of a brush with the barriers, but he's managed to keep going again. There is Kimi Raikkonen, damage to the left-hand side of his front wing end plates. Well, Can Kimi Raikkonen get back to the pits, change his front wing and make it to the checkered flag? Because in his last race we want to see Kimi Raikkonen take the checkered flag here, but he's definitely had a brush with the barriers, Martin, and this can often happen in the final race of somebody's career.
So it sounds like he's got a braking issue. So that's...
You're back again. Back again, Jaden.
Let's see what happens.
So this is down into turn 6. Oh, yeah,
Walmart sponsored Red Bull cars in F1.
It's like pulling the handbrake.
Really?
The brake by wires led him down there somewhere. And the rear axle has locked on him.
Brake by wire system helps the very skinny rear brakes adjust themselves somewhat with some engine braking and retardation to stop the cars at the end of the straight doing 200
Man said
miles
retardation.
an hour in the space of about 80 metres. Ted, down to you.
Oh, Kimi, it's not going to end like this, is it? They're checking out the front of the car. They're having a look whether there's anything they can see that's wrong with the brakes. Something stopped him.
2 seconds, Ted.
He's turned the car off. He's turned the car off. George Russell's been struggling with upshifts in his gearbox for the last lap or two. Wanted to come in when you're on the replays of the Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton, and now he's lost drive as well. So if George doesn't make it back to the pits and stops out onto the track, that could be a virtual safety car that might help Valtteri Bottas. But oh, Kimi, he's getting a round of applause. They're on their feet in the grandstand, giving him a round of applause to say
Kimi
thank you,
Raikkonen
Kimi, for everything. We loved you. You're such a character, but that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Kimi Raikkonen. You know what you're doing. We will leave you alone now. George Russell limping back to the pits meanwhile, saying on the team radio he's lost drive. It's been a bit of a struggle in this race throughout for George Russell. And this is the moment where his power unit stopped delivering the power that he really wanted.
The fuck? Yeah, George Russell's done.
So it's fifth gear, he pulled to...
Yeah, Kimi's retirement is for the... I think it's for good. I think he went like 5 years without winning a race or some shit like that.
A couple of years of rallying. Said he didn't expect.
Dear Kimi, we will leave you alone now.
I'm so glad he did, and we'll all remember the US Grand Prix in 2018 and what a magnificent victory that was for Kimi. What a
yeah, he won like in 2013 and then he didn't win again until like 2018.
His personal trainer, who's been by his side throughout, Kimi wearing the replica helmets of his first helmets in Formula One.
It really is sad how much like F1 is based on your equipment. Because Sebastian Vettel was one of the best drivers, and now he's with, I don't even know what team he's on, but they suck now. He's running 15th. Like, he's a really good driver, but it's all based on equipment. It really is. That's all F1 is. It's just equipment.
Ask to change when you come in the pits. They wouldn't be asking that if he wasn't going to come in. So I think they've got to roll the dice and do something different. The tricky thing is, Bottas is inside.
Copy.
That's right. So, if Mercedes are also looking, I'm sure they're listening to Verstappen's radio. Bottas is in.
So we're past halfway
at the moment. So it's a little bit tricky for
Alfa Romeo
right now, but they are going to watch that for a second stop, I think.
It's sad. Like, imagine F1 if all the cars were equal. It'd be so much more fun.
Have to cover Max Verstappen if Verstappen pits again.
He would. He's got 3.6 seconds at the moment.
Like, I would watch F1 every week if all the cars were even.
Remember before I said when he had 4.8, 5 odd seconds, they had enough fat in the system to react one lap later. 3.6, a bit of a sticky wheel nut, or that's not enough where you'd say, yeah, we'll just pit after Max pits.
And Max Verstappen, as we see his partner Kelly Piquet watching on from the Red Bull garage. Max Verstappen has a new set of hard tyres that they could fit on. They haven't got any new sets of tyres to put on Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes. We're on lap 29 or lap 30 now of 58 if you're watching in the UK and Ireland on Sky Q or Sky Glass. Press your red button if you want to watch the highlights of this race so far alongside the live action. And if Red Bull are thinking of a pit stop, then then Hamilton might have just been given a wake up by the team to say, come on, it's hammer time here, Lewis. We could do with a bit of a bigger gap.
We have a French driver die due to a failure, due to car failure in 2019. Holy shit.
So one more lap. Everything you've got. Hammer time for Valtteri Bottas too. Running in third place at the moment. Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, who hasn't pitted. Perez running in fourth.
Is this where the kid gives the middle finger?
Alonso and Gasly still to stop in this race, running 5th and 6th. Sainz ahead of Norris. Leclerc ahead of Tsunoda. That's the top 10. Outside of that, Esteban
Today we have
Ocon
Clemson versus Washington
up
College
his pace a
Soccer.
little bit, but quite a bit
Today I'm
behind
probably going to be
Tsunoda,
watching
Danny Ricciardo
the Bucks-Bills
running in
game
12th. Giovinazzi
with
13th,
Dom,
Vettel
and then whatever
struggled.
games on Sunday Night
Schumacher,
Football.
TPU's a lap down, and we've lost Kimi Räikkönen for this
What
race.
game is
George
on
Russell,
Sunday Night
Williams'
Football
career
tonight?
Ends with consecutive DNFs.
Yeah, so 17 runners, so obviously you've got less and less chance of virtual or actual
Bears and
safety cars
Packers.
and
That should be a
red
fun
flags
one.
as well. So it becomes a strategy race in that respect, and you're right that Lewis has put the hammer down, and the gap just squeezing a little bit further out, isn't it? But this is a key time.
Well, Red Bull have a gap to drop Max Verstappen into. They can pit him, and he could well come out ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who is in the stop and actually coming into the pits now. So will this make up Red Bull's mind a little bit? It
You?
looks like
Hey, you don't like
it's,
Bears-Packers?
Valtteri
You don't like
Bottas
that
coming into
matchup?
the pits. It looks like Verstappen is going to stay out for at least one more lap. So there's a definite gap now to pit Verstappen into. But is there
What the fuck
enough
happened
time
there?
for Verstappen to make up
The camera just like went upside down for a second.
and 24 seconds.
Valtteri Bottas is on pit road. He's my guy.
They didn't
He's my
put
favorite
brand new
driver.
tyres they put on Lewis's car. I didn't think, but we do know that both Red Bulls have got 2 new sets of hard compound tyres available, and they're only allocated 2 for the weekend.
Yeah.
So they haven't run them until the race. Seems slightly bizarre, doesn't it? But I guess they know enough about their tyres and their cars now. But yeah, it is. So we'll just keep an eye on whether Lewis has actually still got a brand new set. Don't know why they wouldn't have put them on, but they look like they've been slightly run.
One new set of hards for Lewis Hamilton, 2, as Martin said, for the Red Bulls. Valtteri Bottas
Versus Leon
set of
final.
hard compound tyres. He's chasing
For
after
me,
the Ferrari
it's
of
this
Charles Leclerc.
F1 race, some YouTube, then maybe some basketball, and the college soccer.
That's going to get Valtteri Bottas very interested now as they make their way out.
Oh yeah, for you it's like,
along the second of the
because
back
time
straight
zones, like
past
it's
the
actually a
ball,
normal
and
time for you to be
weaving
watching
around
my
a bit,
stream.
trying to
Because
break
usually
the
I
toe, and
stream
doing a very decent job, but
like
Bottas is still going
later in the day or at
into
night,
the
so it's
new
just
bank
ridiculous
hairpin.
hours for you.
We
But
come
what is
at
it right now? It's
9.
like
Bottas just has to
2
back off
p.m.
a
for
little
you.
bit, no room pass for the Finn on that particular occasion, and he sticks down in 9th place as the lights, the 4,700 spotlights that surround this wonderful track, this impressive facility here in Abu Dhabi, start to take effect. The lights from the hotel as well shining out to add even more colour as round the marina we wind our way and down the main straight. Leclerc keeping Bottas at bay.
So 4.6 up to 5 seconds now for Hamilton as Max Verstappen navigates, just about navigates his way past Mick Schumacher to lap him. And now you're starting to see a big enough gap where you can react a lap later to your rivals.
Yeah, and even if you're half a second or so behind in terms of your length of pit stop, it shouldn't make too much difference. By the way, Red Bull have made 13 pit stops this season that are quicker than the fastest Mercedes pit stop. Mercedes with a fastest stop of the 2.1 seconds. Here comes Valtteri Bottas, having a look once again at the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, once again not quite having the pace to get past the young Monegasque driver. Leclerc with a couple of pole positions this season, but no wins for him or his teammate. Ferrari facing consecutive winless seasons for the first time since 92 and 93. There goes Bottas, having a look down the inside, but there's no room for the Finn to try and force his way past.
10 till 3.
There from Charles Leclerc into the new bank turn 9.
Yeah, so it's like actually a normal time for you.
And it somewhat cut off any ambition that Valtteri Bottas had there.
It's a track that offers overtaking opportunities. I was talking to Andreas Seidel, the McLaren team boss. He said this should be some tonight.
If we were to stop under safety car, would you prefer medium or hard?
Both times felt good. There's no doubt.
So your choice. Keep your options.
It's 5:52 in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, Seidel saying that we should have
I thought it was way later, but it's actually like not because of the sunsets earlier.
Previous Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but I'm not quite sure the track changes have gone far enough, Martin, to give us the overtaking opportunities we really want to see. And this is on board with Charles Leclerc, and I can watch this all night. What a brilliant view.
Yeah, your head moves around a lot, but somehow brilliantly your
I've been live for an
eyes
hour and
can
3
level
minutes.
that all out, as Bottas then in the slipstream with his rear wing open. But then nowhere near, is he? Nowhere near enough, but the tyre
So George Russell and Kimi Räikkönen are out of the
in
race.
various corners. And Valtteri Bottas will get another helping now then of DRS as Leclerc moves right to try and break the slipstream. And then Bottas surely going to head up the inside, and surely not, because he, for some reason, went around the outside. And then, of course, Leclerc with track position.
Well, yeah, you said it, Martin. Surely he should have got past round the outside. Other drivers might have been a little more brave. Valtteri Bottas deciding against that on that occasion. The previous lap and the previous lap before that. And his pain and suffering continues then. Stuck behind the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Out in front, his teammate Lewis Hamilton. 5.5 seconds clear of Max Verstappen.
You can't watch NASCAR and F1 every week, so you choose NASCAR because it's so interesting. I agree, like, sometimes there'll be like F1 and NASCAR on at the same time. I'm always going to choose NASCAR.
You're doing a good job. Really good job.
But not enough to deny Mercedes an 8th Constructors Championship in a row. Behind Perez comes Alonso and Gasly. They still haven't come into the pits yet. Ted Kravitz.
That gap between Hamilton and Verstappen is just growing lap by lap. Hamilton is dropping Verstappen at this stage of the race. So there is inherent speed in that Mercedes, and Hamilton is using every bit of it. That race, you say, between Alonso and Gasly, we're not seeing it because there are other things more important perhaps going on, but it's really tight, Crofty. They're separated by only a second and a half each time round. I don't know which way it's going to go. Gasly's actually recovering well because it looked like Alpine was the faster car here, but Ocon out of the points at the moment in 11th. But Fernando holding on to P4 ahead of Gasly. Pit stops not too far away for those two.
And at the fourth time of asking, Valtteri Bottas gets past Charles Leclerc.
F1 is mostly decided by Hamilton's qualifying position, pretty much, yeah.
Charles Leclerc, as you mentioned,
like, pretty much,
sliding around a little bit.
If you want to watch F1, watch qualifying. That's the real main event, and then watch lap 1.
Hold up the Mercedes for
After lap 1, you can turn off the TV.
Prix then, to chase after the car in front, which is Lando Norris. And what's this? This looks like a car moving slowly.
Besides last week. Last week's race was actually really fucking exciting.
Either trying to get out of the way, or he's got a problem.
No shifting, no shifting. And it goes in.
Maybe a bit of both.
Hydraulic issue then.
For Antonio Giovinazzi, so one teammate in his final race in Formula 1 and the other teammate in his final race for the team and potentially Formula 1 are both retiring from this race. Now, where's he parked, Martin, in terms of could we get a safety car here?
He's parked in a tricky situation. He's a long way from the service road. He could have parked a bit closer to the service road. I see no option.
Alfa Romeo is trash. Yes, they are.
Safety car there. It doesn't look like the sort of place you can just cover with double wave yellows and put marshals out there. And you can see he's right in the firing line there on the exit of turn 9, which is a very fast corner. So I can't believe they'll cover that in anything other than a virtual safety car, which means then, of course, leaders will pit.
He is parked in a very handy spot if he wants to go and pop onto a boat.
We're probably going to get a virtual safety car, yeah.
Monaco. There is the virtual safety car, as you said, Martin. Not a very handy place indeed for moving that car. So, on the exit of turn 9, there is a stranded Alfa Romeo. We now have a virtual safety car. So, all the drivers decrease their speed by 40%. No
Don't say that, I love Alfa Romeo. Well, they suck, so.
Neutralized, but these cars can pit, and Ted Kravitz, I get the feeling some will be coming in.
So the Ferrari, first of all, is pitting. And it looks
10
radio.
seconds. Lewis Hamilton is staying out.
Thought it was to be an easy decision. Even if they're thinking of pitting later on, they're staying out.
It's Verstappen 5 seconds on Perez, 34 now, but yeah.
It's a gift for Alonso and Gasly to pit as well. The Alpine mechanics came out to the pit lane. They're just checking their wheel guns, hanging around like nothing's happening, like they haven't been told, and now they're sort of not doing anything. McLaren are coming out as well.
Ted, the reason Alonso and Gasly aren't pitting yet is they haven't reached turn 6 yet, but Verstappen's coming in, I think.
Fox and pit confirm, please, Max. Fox, pit confirm.
You've got to, yeah.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a cheap pit stop, probably 10 odd seconds. Put some different tyres on it, and you know, there's your second set of brand new hard compound tyres. It's a no-brainer. They haven't got the pace to win this.
2.6 second pit stop.
The Mercedes, so that was do whatever Hamilton doesn't do.
And he can also utilise this bit of track underneath the tunnel, maybe to shave off a little bit more time as well, because the safety car one line won't be with him until he makes his exit from out of that tunnel and back onto the track again. Perez is going to pit.
Sergio Perez is pitting.
Continues to lead from Verstappen, but Verstappen's now got a brand new set of the hard.
But now Verstappen's 23 seconds. Well, that's also under safety car. You gotta realize it's gonna be smaller once they go back full speed.
That's Toto Wolff saying, don't give us a safety car and close the pack up. Especially now Max Verstappen's pitted on and is on fresher tyres. Can he do that sort of thing?
I don't think that's right, trying to influence Michael Massey's got a safety, he's in charge of safety around here. And, but I guess what Mercedes were nervous of there is if Hamilton pitted and Verstappen stayed out and kept track position. So it was really only
Perez vibing since he wants to save tires, so when Bottas comes, if he comes, he can defend, yeah. He wants to get that podium.
But you couldn't send marshals out into the exit of turn 9, 120, 130 mile an hour corner with just double wave yellow flags. You couldn't do it.
So the virtual safety car is ending as they are pushing that Alfa Romeo away.
Gap to Verstappen now, 17.9.
Virtual safety car's ending.
How is it 17? How is he not lost?
And they're back green.
VSC.
Are you going to be in trouble?
So a safety car, a virtual safety car or a safety car reduces your pit stop loss to about 13, 14 seconds. Normally, it's about 22 seconds. That is how Verstappen has got a cheaper second pit stop. But what this means now is that on lap 38 out of 58, it is very much all up for grabs, because Hamilton is on a set of tyres that have done 23 laps. Verstappen is on a new set of tyres that have now done 1 lap. So what is Verstappen's pace going to be between now and the checkered flag, and can he close down the gap between himself and Lewis Hamilton? Game on to the checkered flag. Under 17 seconds, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. Ted, down to you.
17 seconds.
I mean, that's going to be the way of it towards the end of the race, isn't it, Crofty? But I'm still struggling.
I mean, he is gaining fast, but my thing is, I think once he gets closer to him, that's when the gap is going to, like, yeah, now he's losing.
Okay, there's that gap at 17.0 for Verstappen. He will need 0.8 a lap on us to catch. So we just need to keep that in mind.
He might well get it, Crofty. It's exactly what he might have with those fresher tyres.
This is going to be an intriguing, absorbing,
I'm excited.
Potentially thrilling, maybe controversial end.
Damn solid college soccer on ESPNU. Do you not have ESPNU?
Is it is not going to be dull. Stick with this, because that virtual safety car has come out at a very nice time for Red Bull and Max Verstappen, and Hamilton, with 1.5 hands on the trophy, is going to have to hang on.
He's got great speed, but remember he said a while ago, I'm not sure these tyres will go to the end. They're 25 laps old already.
And on that last lap, the difference between Hamilton and Verstappen in terms of their lap times, 0.8 of a second.
This is going to need a Michael Schumacher-esque 20 qualifying laps.
Yeah, the potential to lose track position, Lewis, too high.
That's what we were talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
They knew Red Bull would do the opposite, and then of course any kind of issue between the two plays into Red Bull's hands. So they were kind of damned if they did and damned if they didn't. I'm surprised they didn't come in the pits, but
Hamilton plus 26 if it's happening to 15, yep.
Max Verstappen, but I was starting to say, they need to be Schumacher-esque qualifying laps now. Banzai, flat out, 20 perfect qualifying laps for Max Verstappen if he's going to rescue this World Championship.
There are nerves on the pit wall at Mercedes. There are nerves on the pit wall at Red Bull. Hamilton then ahead of Verstappen. The gap under 16 seconds. Perez runs in third place ahead of Sainz and Norris. Bottas in sixth. Tsunoda, Alonso, Gasly and Ocon. This is Fernando Alonso. That's how he got past Pierre Gasly. And that's how Gasly got repassed.
Trying to push me off. I was in front in the corner braking, so still okay. Come in.
And that's an old message because Fernando would not have been speaking as he went down the inside of Pierre Gasly, ran himself off the track and over the curb. Did he stay ahead of Pierre Gasly? Well, he's ahead of him on the track at the moment.
Tsunoda, wasn't it? I think.
Oh, is that
in that particular instance?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Here we go again. Pulling the downshifts like crazy. Right.
You have 5 more hours till soccer. Soccer's at 8.
Alonso, no investigation necessary. Tsunoda is now back ahead of Alonso, so the stewards insisted in their application of the rules. If you remember back to turn 6 on the first lap, where they decided no investigation necessary, Hamilton and Verstappen at that time.
So it feels to me as if raw pace alone.
Yeah, copy Lewis. Yeah, we should both be on the dead curve though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say actually. I think absolutely on raw pace alone, Lewis should have it covered, unless he starts getting tyre degradation, unless his tyres start falling away from him.
Waiting is boring,
and, that's a big if, isn't it?
Yeah, and that happy-sounding Lewis Hamilton, when he was asked what tyres would you want if we stopped under a safety car, just sounds a little more tense when we hear him on the radio now. 14.8 seconds the gap at the end of lap 40.
And that's what's even more confusing, isn't it? They were talking about if there's a safety car, which tyre shall we put on? And they didn't stop, but we know why. They said they didn't want to give up track position.
Well, when you're out in front, you haven't got the luxury of waiting to decide what the other guy is going to do.
No, but at the same time, it wasn't going to really cost him badly, was it, in terms of the pressure? Anyway, that's what they decided to do, and Ted's got more news.
Before that, though, Martin, let's go to Karun at Sky Race Control.
Yeah, thank you, Coffee. I've just clarified with Mercedes, he did put on a scrubbed set of tyres, so good spot there, Martin Brundle. It was a set that they only scrubbed for 1 lap, though, so it's nearly new when they pitted Lewis. He has got, therefore, a brand new set of hard tyres, which he's now unlikely to use. So they had that option of a new set and elected not to do it.
It's like leaving your favourite chocolate, isn't it, in the box, and then somebody throws the box away or something. They're gone. You won't want to be pitting for them now, otherwise the World Championship's gone. So we'll watch these sector times. Interestingly, middle part of the lap, Lewis Hamilton is a 10th faster on these, and he's doing personal best as well. So Hamilton has got good speed, and now it's Ted.
Yes, Ted. Hello, Crofty. Yes, just quick on about Valtteri Bottas.
Something you just noticed is that TikTok was musically. You did not know that. You did not know that until now.
Very hard. Bottas looking like he's lining up for a move on Lando Norris on much fresher tyres.
And there goes Pierre Gasly on Fernando Alonso, and there is Esteban Ocon and Lando and Daniel Ricciardo in the battle for the 1 remaining points place in this race, which out in front is separated by 14.3 seconds as the AlphaTauri stays ahead of the
did not
Alpine
know
going
that.
into turn 9 a few races ago. AlphaTauri and Alpine were locked together on points in the championship, but a podium for Fernando Alonso in Qatar, and then a 4th place for Esteban Ocon in Saudi have rather helped Alpine to pull away in that championship battle. They're in 5th place, and fingers are being crossed absolutely everywhere you look at the moment, except in the cockpit of the AlphaTauri. Difficult to drive with your fingers crossed, I would imagine.
With his arms crossed now with almost full lock. These cars have got useless steering lock on them, the opposite to a London taxi basically, because the front tyres are so fat, you don't get much lock on them.
So, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix has Lewis Hamilton still out in the lead. 14.8 seconds was the
Thought they
gap
were separate entities.
a couple of laps
Nope.
ago as the drivers crossed the line. Max Verstappen making his way round the final turn as Lewis Hamilton heads down towards the hairpin. The gap now 14.1 seconds.
Yeah, it's been about 0.3 of a second. We have seen Lewis Hamilton somehow mercurially hang on to a set of tyres that shouldn't be giving as much grip as they do. And that's what he's doing at the moment again. But will they hang on? Can he keep pushing that hard and the tyres hang on? They are the hardest compound, after all, that we got here this weekend.
But they are right slap bang in the middle of that Pirelli range. When we say of the hard tyre, they're not the hardest of hard tyres. In some tracks, they would be the soft tyre, depending on how many fast corners and heavy braking zones we've got on that particular circuit. One thing is for sure, we're on lap 43.
Save this vid for later.
Going right down to the wire with Verstappen chasing.
Oh, I saw
Hamilton.
that yesterday.
If Verstappen wants more pace when he gets past the Dutch grandstand, at the
Already
end
seen
of
it.
the back straight, he's gonna feel the applause and the roar every time he gets there to try and help him on this charge. Ted, down to you.
This is going to go down to the wire. I'd hate to be on the Mercedes pit wall at the moment, but just across the pit lane here, it all looks calm there. I wonder what Christian Horner's thinking as well, but maybe we can speak to him in a bit. But Pirelli say this hard tyre will do 50 laps. But we've seen higher degradation in the race in real time. All those figures that Pirelli say were based on practice, Crofty. I think we've seen higher degradation in the race. So, yeah, it can do 50 laps, will it? And at the end of it, will they be very fast? Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah, it's like rock stars could do a 7-hour concert, but they might be a bit tired by the end of it. We're on board with Valtteri Bottas for just one moment. Going into turn 9, thought Lando Norris was there for the taking. Norris stays ahead.
It's a long way for Hamilton to go.
Sergio Perez currently running third, around about 40 seconds off the race lead.
So, last 5 laps, Verstappen 0.6 faster, then 0.5, then 0.4, 0.4, and then 0.2 of a second. You see, he's getting, at this stage, every bit as much.
In Morocco, we have Kit Kat yogurt, but
as Lewis Hamilton out front.
Kit Kat isn't in what? Oh, it's not in bars. It's in chocolate balls.
Make our way now.
Kit Kat chocolate balls. That's fun.
4 cars ahead who are battling.
The back markers might come into play in this race as well.
Yeah, during the off season, I've been watching the 2011 season. I've been rewatching the full 2011 NASCAR season, and I'm at the Coca-Cola 600 at this point.
I guess if you're used to the hybrid era at Mercedes-Benz, they all...
Because in my opinion, the 2011 season was the best season, at least during my lifetime, or during my watching time.
Place in Detroit once by passing somebody, and whoever they were fighting with didn't realise that I was coming through as well, and that is a bit of a problem. I mean, these are very experienced drivers here, but basically Lewis needs to tread slightly carefully because that's a battle royal going on. He's about to hoover up.
Yeah, they're obliged to jump out of the way when the car that's about to lap them is about 1.2 seconds behind, and blue flags will be waved. But you know, it depends where you get to these back markers. Sometimes you can breeze past on the straight. Other times you might have to stick with it for a few corners before they can finally.
Yeah, I don't think Verstappen's going to catch him now.
And a right old battle royal this really is, with Esteban Ocon gaining on his teammate Fernando Alonso, with Alonso trying to gain on Pierre Gasly, but not really making much progress in that particular scrap.
An average of 24 hours a day? That's false. That is just simply not true.
Right at the back of this battle is Charles Leclerc, and then comes Lewis Hamilton, who can see it all unfolding in front of him.
Whatever the flavor of the bars have, the chocolate balls get, that's pretty sick.
He was told by his engineer he's got to be 0.8 a lap faster than you to catch you. He's nowhere near fast enough in that respect as Max Verstappen at the moment.
Once again, Red Bull are looking for something beyond their control to try and help bring them back into this race. They've had the virtual safety car, which has helped. They had that great defence by Sergio Perez, which very much helped, but they might need something else. to bring Max Verstappen back into this race. You could just see the Red Bull in the distance down that back straight as Hamilton disappeared through the chicane. Verstappen, who's been on the podium 17 times this season, either first or second, is on for another second place here. It'll give him the season record for the most amount of podiums scored, but it won't give him the World Championship as it stands. Lewis Hamilton on course to become champion, as one champion watches on as we talk about the other. Oscar Piastri, well done to you. Formula 2 champion for 2021. What a brilliant season that young man has had, and I'm sure we'll see him in Formula 1.
People would be saying I love chocolate balls.
In Formula 1 at the moment, 46 out of 58. We're on lap 46. We're reaching the climax of the season.
It would not work in the
Hamilton's
US.
coming up to lap 3. He's already lapped 1 in the case of Charles Leclerc, and Verstappen's trying to chase after him, but he's just not finding the pace. Ted Kravitz, down to you.
Well, you mentioned Charles Leclerc. That pitting under the virtual safety car really hasn't worked out well for Charles Leclerc at all. He's rejoined behind Daniel Ricciardo and is in a fight with Ocon and Alonso a bit further up for 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. So not working out well for Charles Leclerc, but it is working out, staying out, the right thing to do for Carlos Sainz in the sister Ferrari. P4, and looking good for it as well.
Yeah, and doing a great job is also Lando Norris, keeping Valtteri Bottas at bay all the way, despite giving away the drag reduction system, both carrying Mercedes-Benz engines, of course.
And after we heard earlier in the race that he was losing gears and having technical difficulties, Lando Norris in a very solid 5th place at the moment. And for Lando Norris, a 5th place that would give him 5th place in the championship. Charles Leclerc out of the points, the driver currently in 5th in the standings. Norris could move into the top 5, which he deserves for this season. It's been a really, really excellent season for Lando Norris. Could have had a win in Russia, that didn't go his way. Got a pole in Russia, but he has been on the podium 4 times and leading that McLaren charge.
Ignore the dash. Ignore the dash.
Yeah, Verstappen's not going to catch him.
Of a Formula 1 season, when he's getting that
not at this rate.
Little thing, Martin, is going to be a bit of a distraction.
I wonder if the dash is still set up for the number of laps in the Grand Prix last year. No, seriously.
That's possible.
Yeah, because we're 3 laps longer, aren't we? Because the track's shorter this year. Maybe there's a software glitch in there, something that hasn't been changed.
Well, when you check and double check and triple check everything as engineers and mechanics going into a race, that might be the one little thing that slips by where you're concentrating on everything else. Good spot if it's true.
So Verstappen just took a second out of the lead there, but it's still a dozen seconds. And Lewis then has cleared 3 of the 4. He's got Alonso coming up next, and Verstappen has cleared both Aston Martins as well. Then, of course, he has to get through Leclerc, Ricciardo, Ocon.
Yesterday, the Charlotte Checkers minor league Hurricanes beat Syracuse Crunch 4-1. Yeah, I think I saw that.
Invested in one way or the other, it's very, very difficult to watch.
11 remaining. Verstappen 12.3.
How's it close? Come down to 12 really.
It's just that back marker traffic, Lewis. He's going to have to get through it too.
Hamilton then making his way through the cars about to be lapped. Verstappen will have to do that himself very soon as well. Christian Horner on that Red Bull pit wall. I don't know if you're struggling to watch this or not, Christian, but if you were tense at the start, it's probably getting even more tense now with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, you know, the pace of the Mercedes is just too strong today, so with Max is driving his heart out there, but we're going to need a miracle in these last 10 laps to turn it around. So he'll give it everything, but you know, the clock's ticking.
Nothing you can do now, I guess. It's Max's right foot is all that's left, isn't it? He's gained 2 seconds in the last 2 laps, but as you say, too much to do.
He's got 4 cars to go through. I mean, he needs some luck from the racing gods, I think, these last 10 laps, but you know, we're going to give it
if the Honda logo isn't on the cars next season, that'll be disappointing. You may lose interest. It's that big of a deal.
Would this been a different race for you?
It's just a logo on a car.
And had to have given the place back at turn 6 on an opening lap, or do you think, come the final reckoning, it wouldn't have made much difference?
Well, it gives you more options. You have track position, you've got clean air. So yeah, we're disappointed in that decision, but you know, it is what it is, and we're just getting on with it. And I think, you you know, in all honesty, they've just had a quicker car when you look at the pace that they've got on these worn tyres, but still 10 laps to go.
Thanks ever so much, Christian. Lando Norris pits, slow puncture for Lando Norris, and that forced him into the pits. And, well, that just compounds what has been a bit of a disappointing night in terms of technical difficulties. He was doing a super job, but he's been relegated now down to 8th. Bottas up into 5th place, so over 6th, Gasly 7th. Ted, down to you.
Oh, Lando Norris. Yeah, it was just he did. Team radio.
And we've seen Norris with a front left puncture, so just be careful on the curves.
That's the curbs, that's the thing. You see, Lando's problems were sorted from early on. He was just being told on the radio to be careful about deployment, but that's just an energy recovery, a hybrid system, a bit of advice from his engineers. But these curbs, Pirelli...
Why are F1 races so quick?
Because they're aggressive, like they're aggressive in Qatar, where we saw...
It's kind of shitty to go to a race and it's done within an hour. Within 2 hours, you know.
Surely not.
Just as Christian Horner was saying, we need a miracle to win the race from here. They angle grinded down some of the curves on Thursday nights, Friday night I should say, just to make them a little less aggressive. But sadly for Lando Norris, he's got a slow puncture.
Max won a title eventually, but if it's not as a Honda driver, it won't be as meaningful. F1 will eventually become Formula E, and then meh. 100 lap F1 race, yeah, I would like that.
What, the final corner around about 93 miles an hour.
But my biggest thing about F1 is I just don't get how it's the most popular racing in the world when it's the least competitive. It's so uncompetitive. Like, after lap 1, you pretty much, unless if there's some crazy turn of events, last week being said crazy turn of events, after lap 1, you pretty much know who's going to win, you know? Like I said, last week's race, amazing. I loved it. But that's like 1 in a million. Pretty much every race is just boring.
We had a stellar last lap in his Grand Prix debut season. Came home to finish.
I wish all the cars were equal, you know?
Normal service resumed now then for Lewis Hamilton, straight back into the 126s. Now he's cleared the traffic. And now that Norris is pitted, that means there are 5 cars for Verstappen to get through in that DRS train, as we call it.
There are a list of Honda fans watching since Red Bull partnered with them. It sounds like you haven't watched the races this season. I've watched probably about 5 or 6. I watched last week. I did miss Azerbaijan. That was a good race. I know that was a good race. That was the one where Verstappen like crashed with like 5 to go, and then just chaos ensued. I thought the race last year, the Bahrain race, the George Russell race, I thought that was a good race. The one where he was going to win easily. That was the one that Lewis Hamilton was out because of COVID.
Tormenting moments, aren't they? Your Max got wiped out.
I thought that was a good race.
Playing billiards in Hungary and the tire in Baku, and Lewis, you know, went up in Baku there and lost some points, and just all those little twists and turns that we can look back and that would have made the difference. But you win a championship over a season, not over a race, as Leclerc gets out of the way and lets Max Verstappen through. But at the end of the day, Mercedes and Hamilton came on so strongly.
Until you learn the mechanics very well and then you become bored with NASCAR cars.
And Lewis's pace with tires.
I think F1 cars are cool, you know?
Really quite sensational now.
Like I said, F1 would be awesome if it was more... Like, if all the cars were even, if all the cars were evenly set up to where everyone had an equal shot of winning, I feel like that'd be a lot better. Because, look at, like, I was saying this earlier before you got in the stream, like, look at Sebastian Vettel. He used to be the greatest fucking driver. Well, not the greatest, but he used to be one of the greatest drivers. And now he's with a shit team, and he's in 13th, you know? It's barely any driver, it's all equipment. And yeah, obviously I understand the driver does have, you know, they're the ones driving the car. If you put a shit driver in... Yeah, if you put a shit driver in the best car, they're still not going to do that good. Obviously, you still need a good driver, but
He's charging through the field. His,
it's
teammate
mainly
Daniel
based on
Ricciardo
equipment.
moves out of the way of Max Verstappen, then quickly gets back onto the racing line because he wants to try and keep Charles Leclerc at bay, but both Ricciardo and Leclerc out of the points at the moment.
What should you watch after this race?
Of course, to be Constructors Champions for the 8th record.
There's nothing on after this race. Not until football starts at like 1.
Ever so slightly, but at their detriment at the start of this season, it's once again a great recovery because they felt they've been hampered coming into this season by those slight regulation changes.
Like I said, I want to enjoy F1. I really do. I want to like it. I want it to be entertaining. It's just, it's not.
Terrible trouble come the first race.
Oh no!
Oh, big crash.
Has crashed, and I think that is at turn 14, where we saw Kimi Raikkonen crash in practice. It is at turn 14, and yes, that will be a safety car because marshals are going to need
caution
to recover that Williams and to work on it. And this now.
Here's me fucking saying caution is out when there's a safety car.
They can clear the Williams.
It's called a safety car, not a caution.
We can have a couple of laps racing to the checkered flag.
Well, this is going to get exciting.
That's where Max Verstappen's much fresher tyres will fire up and give him the confidence on any.
This
kind
is
of
huge.
Depends how.
See? Now this is where it gets exciting.
On lap 52, obviously because of the slow pace with 5 to go, that they'll probably.
You watched the Chelsea game yesterday?
As long as they get if they get a vehicle on there and get that out of the way. And
coming into the pits, Max Verstappen, Hamilton.
It's not because I view it from a perspective of a WWE fan.
I would imagine there's a set of soft tyres waiting for him to go onto that Red Bull car. Yes, it is.
No, I just wish it was like it doesn't even have to be close racing. It's just got to be like pretty much you go into a race and you pretty much know who's gonna win. The main event is qualifying and lap 1. If you want to know who's gonna win the race, watch qualifying and then watch lap 1.
Well, they had nothing to lose. Once again, Red Bull had nothing to lose there.
They have nothing to lose. Hamilton is a long way clear.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Verstappen for a second.
There's quite a few coming into the pits. Hamilton's a long way clear on the track, but I rather get the feeling by the time he comes around to the main straight, he's not going to be able to pit and stay ahead of Max Verstappen. That chance wasn't there or has gone.
I think Verstappen's got this. Yeah, I think Verstappen's got this because he has newer tires and they're going to be bunched up. Verstappen's got this in the books.
So look, we're on lap 54 of 58 here. They've got to clear that debris away, and the
Max did pit.
Have obviously gone off because the brakes, I'm sure, were getting very, very hot.
Sad that Jeff Hardy got released.
Let the lapped cars unlap themselves.
You're a car guy? I love cars.
If we're going to get any racing laps in this race, wait and see. This is what happened to Nicholas Latifi. He was scrapping away.
Yeah, that's also like I love the drivers in F1. I think the drivers have a lot of fun personalities. Like Daniel Ricciardo is one of the most fun people on Earth, on the planet Earth. Daniel Ricciardo. It's got to be like top 5 funnest people.
On his tires, and then the rear just lets go.
Probably dirty tyres from being offline there. Will we get any more racing laps or not? What jeopardy at the end of this Grand Prix, the end of this World Championship. Will there be any more racing laps? If there are, then Verstappen...
Oh yeah, that's right. This might end under yellow.
To really do something with them. Will they let the lap runners through?
They better have a restart.
Let the lap runners through. And in between Hamilton and Verstappen, Norris, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc, and...
If there's a restart, that's where this gets exciting. That's another thing. I hate how, what happened? Something's gone wrong.
So, the situation is that Verstappen has pitted. He had a free pit stop. We would have lost track position to him. 4 laps remaining when you cross the line. So this field has to bunch, and then they have to send lap cars through. So it may not restart.
Is he right behind me?
He will be. Once they've sorted out all the order, this is going to take a while to sort out.
It might be one.
New tyres.
Copy Lewis. We would have lost track position if we had pitted.
And that was the big key here. Mercedes for the second time.
The Honda engines are phenomenal. I like Daniel also. He has a great perspective. He understands he is winning in life.
potentially losing track position.
Daniel is winning in
and
life.
In this case, if we don't go racing again,
What happened with my
under the safety car, he would have lost the World Championship.
Is there a vehicle pulling the Williams out of the way or not yet?
Can't see it at the moment. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, have a load of other people pitting.
I can just look up F1. It'll show the.
Ricardo, we've had Lance Stroll
There
as
you
well
go.
into the pits. I'll give you those orders as they shake out.
There you
but,
go.
Yeah, it was just bad luck. I mean, you saw the Mercedes mechanics just hanging around outside the pits, looking at whether they had the order to come in. But Hamilton was so close to the pit.
Pirelli tires next year,
it
18
does
inches.
seem the engineer's right there. Whatever they would have done, they would have lost track position.
Yeah, they can have a restart.
The safety car's not going full gas down the straight.
Copy, Lewis, understood.
His tyres are cooling. He needs more pace, more heat into those tyres.
This is awful for Lewis then with those hard compound, heavily used tyres. So there's the shock then, of course, it has to be a safety car there. And but will they let the lap runners through? I don't think it's absolutely mandatory, but that's normally on a wet day that they don't. And if so, how long will they wait for those lap cars to get out of the way? If they wait for them to catch the pack up, which they don't have to do, then I don't think we'll get a racing lap. If they let them through, we could get one racing lap.
Be better. I just want one lap.
Nicholas Latifi.
If this ends under yellow, that's fucked up.
After that contact with the barriers, around about 90 miles an hour. But he would have taken a whack, and it's good to see that he's okay. Sergio Perez coming into the pits again. So Max,
Forklift pulling an F1 car.
Perez into the pits for the fourth time. I didn't understand.
Yeah, I always love how they tow those cars away. Same with the Indy cars.
Of Sergio Perez's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car.
Yeah, no Perez podium. It's gonna be between Carlos Sainz and Valtteri Bottas. Bottas is my guy. He's my favorite. He's my favorite driver.
Leaves Verstappen with a lot of work to do then.
So Mercedes will be Constructors Champions at the end of this race, as it stands at the moment, assuming that Hamilton and Bottas finish this race. The Drivers' Championship, though, is very much up for grabs. The lapped cars won't be allowed to overtake, which means that there are plenty of cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen for Verstappen.
Why? Oh my god, that's so stupid. That's like an old NASCAR rule. Have all the fucking cars close to each other. Don't have the lapped cars in between. That's so fucking stupid.
They're obliged to get out of the way, but Lewis will be
That's like one of the NASCAR rule changes that I actually like. Is when they got rid of like the lapped cars getting in the way of the actual racing.
Rather than finishing behind the safety car, they've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Yeah, of course. Difficult decision.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
Like, why even have them there if they can't overtake, if they can't race?
We should get one lap of racing here. If we allowed the lap cars to overtake, we'd have no laps of racing to the checkered flag. So what do Red Bull want? Max Verstappen and Gianpiero Lambiase as race engineer, do they want the chance, or do they want to finish behind the safety car with no overtaking? Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control. And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah, I mean, the regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory, as pointed out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through, because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be one racing lap.
They'll all get blue flags, I would imagine.
Christian and Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
Just give me, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
Well, I assume Christian's talking about the, getting the lap cars out of the way, not clearing the incidents away.
Yeah, I mean, all of the cars in front of Max will get blue flags and are duty bound to get out of the way, but they're all in a reasonable fight themselves, aren't they?
Well, so here we go. Normally, you'd see the race leader backing up the pack a little bit when the safety car goes. I would imagine on this occasion, if we do get a lap, Martin, Hamilton will want to be disappearing off into the distance as fast as he can.
Yeah, I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that.
It makes the drivers to use that brain. What?
In this lap, we think it should do, could do. Is there any more debris to clear up? We're halfway round already.
Race control are now saying lapped cars to overtake the safety car. So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc and Vettel to
and
overtake it.
And it's ending. Wow.
All right, so we're going back green.
So there's confusion, but the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap.
All right.
So those back markers allowed to overtake the safety car, and that has now left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Michael, this isn't right.
It has left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen side by side.
Oh boy.
Verstappen is absolutely desperate to get on with this on that sub-compound tyre.
Oh boy.
One lap of racing to decide the championship in 2021. Hamilton has the advantage. Verstappen has the faster, fresher
back green.
tyres, and we have got 3.2 miles of racing.
Oh boy, this is exciting.
To the checkered flag as the crowd roar the drivers on.
White flag.
Final lap of this race, and Verstappen sets off the Hamilton.
White flag.
Is it going to be a first world championship for Verstappen? Is it going to be an 8th world championship for Lewis Hamilton? Where can Verstappen try and
Oh my God.
Hamilton? First overtaking zone is normally down in the turn 5.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy for the championship. For the title. For the title. Verstappen takes it. Is this it?
No DRS for 2 laps, so Lewis
Here comes Lewis.
get the rear wing open. Now he's going to go
Here comes Lewis.
If Verstappen keeps it
He should have taken the inside.
he's gone a little bit wide.
This race that started with controversy is ending with controversy. Here comes Lewis Hamilton.
Here comes Lewis. Here comes Lewis. Oh God. That probably is it. And Max Verstappen comes back and wins it.
Mercedes not happy. Red Bull will be delighted. They have shared a brilliant championship battle.
How about that? Max Verstappen wins the F1 2021 title. The world champion. He is it. He has done it. He has done it. In the most exciting championship battle ever. Max Verstappen wins it all.
And this might not be the end of the matter because Mercedes are furious.
How about that?
I think it's fabulous.
Oh my God, how about that? He's won it all. He has won it all. Takes down the best driver in F1 history and wins it all.
At the end, Red Bull played every card they could because they hadn't got enough speed, they hadn't got track position, they played it really smart. Mercedes played it cautious out front, but to release the lap cars and end the safety car and give us one racing lap, wow, how quickly did that turn around? What was Christian Horner saying to us? The racing gods need to shine down on us. They certainly did.
The racing gods shine down on us today.
Said Christian Horner. The miracle arrived. Nicholas Latifi crashed. The safety car came out. The lap car.
How about that? I'm happy too, man. Like I said, I was neutral in this, but like that's fucking awesome.
Took the lead and kept it.
How about that? Play the Super Max song, please. I don't want to get copyrighted.
love you. We absolutely love you.
I think bit of luck, lifetime supply of luck, might just have come Red Bull and Max Verstappen's way. Ted Kravitz down in the pit lane. Well, emotion after emotion after emotion.
It's pandemonium. Christian Horner is crying his eyes out. Jos Verstappen is already wearing a Max Verstappen World Champion T-shirt. And at the Mercedes garage, they are shell-shocked. Toto Wolff has just dropped his head. He can't believe it. He's talking to Susie Wolff, his wife. They're all asking each other what is going on. They're shaking their heads. They are in disbelief.
2 seconds, Ted.
This is unbelievable, guys.
How about that?
Can we do this for another 10, 50 years together? Wait, honestly.
Horner has gone up to the Mercedes pit wall to shake hands with anyone he can find. He's getting a handshake, but it's not very warm. Mercedes absolutely have no idea what has just gone on. They are befuddled, the most befuddlement you can ever see. Whereas it is all going off. That is a release of emotion and a release of pressure. They can't believe. Is it luck? Is it judgment? Is it the F getting the rub of the green? But they are absolutely shell-shocked at Mercedes, and they are in pieces, in tears of joy at Red Bull Racing.
In 1989, when Arsenal went to Anfield needing a 2-0 win to win the title, and in the stoppage time Michael Thomas burst through on goal, and it was all up for grabs now. It wasn't Michael Thomas tonight, it might have been Michael Massey, but it was definitely Max Verstappen who burst through to take that win.
That was pretty epic.
I might need to sit down for quite a while here, Martin Brundle, to just try and compute what has happened in the last 5 minutes, and he might need to sit down for the whole winter, because I'm not sure it's going to sink in for a while.
What happened is Red Bull played smart hand using the safety car facilities, and then they ended up on far better tyres, and Max
that was the greatest thing ever.
Managed to hang on through the rest of no DRS available for 2 laps after a safety car, so it's a straight fight down the...
Oh, I'm just speechless, Lewis. Absolutely speechless.
Bono is speechless. I'm not sure if Lewis Hamilton is talking to him or not. For a moment, and a brief moment, Hamilton felt that the crown was coming his way. Mercedes thought that the double world championship was coming their way. Those Dutch fans had pretty much given up hope. But in live sport, you never ever give up hope. You never leave before the end. Anything could happen. And here in Abu Dhabi, it did tonight. Mercedes are Constructors Champions for a record-breaking 8th consecutive time, but it is not the double championship they so wanted.
Great stream, hope to see you soon.
To the drivers'
I can't wait for the Clash.
He ends the run.
I'll probably be streaming the Super Bowl too.
Champions in Formula One, not since Kimi Raikkonen in 2007 have we had a non-brittle German champion. There's Christian Horner to embrace his man in Parc Fermé, and everyone wants to join in the celebrations except those in the Mercedes garage.
And Carlos Sainz finished 3rd, but Ferrari is also on the podium. Yuki Tsunoda 4th, so 4th and 5th for AlphaTauri. Wow.
Yeah. Perez pitted, retired from the race. Sainz said, thank you, I'll have a podium. Down to you, Ted.
Just asking around, I mean, the feeling at Mercedes seems to be, well, hang on, there seems to be an abuse of the rules here. The rules have not been followed. Why were only 5 cars allowed to unlap themselves and then the race restarted? That's the point, isn't it? So Mercedes think, well, hang on, the process was not followed here. It was not followed properly the way it always has been under safety cars, with lap cars being allowed to unlap themselves. Only 5 were, not the rest of them.